Mr. Chairman. As the chairman has indicated, the recent arrest of a terrorism suspect in Colorado is a sobering reminder of the continued threat to our nation. Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations have publicly declared their intention to acquire and use weapons of mass destruction against the United States. Just last week, another media report highlighted how terrorists might join forces with global drug traffickers in order to take advantage of the traffickers' vast networks of tunnels, black markets, technology, and human intelligence. The terrorists have noted the ease with which traffickers smuggle illegal drugs across our borders. In the words of a former U.S. Embassy official in Afghanistan, quote, "When you get to the point where you can smuggle tons of drugs through one border, then you certainly have the capacity to smuggle in weapons of mass destruction or agents," end quote. Clearly, this threat is real, urgent, and evolving. On September 8th, the chairman and I introduced legislation to help counter this threat. Our bill would improve our nation's ability to prevent and respond to WMD attacks. It would enact many of the recommendations of the Commission on the Prevention of Weapons of Mass Destruction, Proliferation, and Terrorism, the commission that the chairman and I helped to establish in 2007. I'm certainly pleased to see once again the leaders of that commission and our former colleagues, Senator Bob Graham and Jim Talent, here today. Their report warns us that it is more likely than not that a weapon of mass destruction will be used in a terrorist attack somewhere in the world by the end of 2013. We've repeated that warning a lot in our public statements, but I think we cannot say it often enough to convey to the public how urgent action is. The Commission's report is a call to action. Our bill is the answer. The Commission's findings reinforce the urgency felt by this committee during our many hearings regarding the terrorist threat to our nation. We've examined many deadly threats targeting the American people. And to respond to these threats, our committee has led numerous reform efforts since the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. Our work has strengthened intelligence gathering efforts, tightened security at our ports and chemical facilities, and vastly improved our emergency preparedness. Nevertheless, the Commission's report provides a chilling reminder that the terrorists have been active too. Nuclear proliferation and advances in biotechnology are giving terrorists new methods and new means to commit mass murder. So we, in turn, must continue our efforts to identify risks and to increase security. As the Commission's report explains, the most likely WMD threat to the United States is a biological weapon. It is easier to develop and disseminate bioweapons and gain access to lethal pathogens. Furthermore, terrorists know that a bioweapon can be a stealth attack. We may not immediately recognize that such an attack has even occurred until hundreds of people have been sickened or even died. Despite this threat, some of the world's most dangerous pathogens are not secure. And that includes pathogens housed in biolabs right here in the United States. The GAO's alarming report shows that there are deficiencies in basic perimeter security at facilities that house the world's most dangerous biological agents, diseases such as the Ebola virus and smallpox. The GAO also pointed out that lab regulation, for the most part, relies on self-policing. The fact is that thousands of people right here in our country have access to the most dangerous pathogens. More than 400 research facilities and nearly 15,000 individuals are on the select agent list and authorization to handle the most deadly pathogens. We needn't look far. The FBI has determined that a cleared scientist at a regulated research lab most likely carried out the 2001 anthrax attacks. To counter this threat, we must increase the security at biolabs. And our bill seeks to accomplish that goal by identifying those pathogens that terrorists are most likely to use and increasing the security standards at the biolabs that handle them. A negotiated rulemaking with federal agencies and research institutions at the table would develop these standards. This collaboration would ensure that the regulations that make our nation's biological labs more secure do not have the unintended consequence of deterring legitimate research. In addition, we provide a 4-year grant program to help fund the security enhancements. Let me just mention one other part of our bill that I think is very important, and then since the chairman has outlined the rest, I'll just submit the remainder of my statement. The commission also found that the federal government is unaware of some research facilities that handle less strictly controlled but still dangerous pathogens. To close that gap, our bill would require registration of those labs and facility security requirements that would be tiered based on the risk that terrorists might use a particular pathogen in a biological lab. That is from a biological lab. That is the kind of approach that we use successfully in our chemical facility law, where we had a tiered approach with greater mandates for security to apply to the most high-risk facilities. Again, I look forward to hearing the testimony of our witnesses today, and I'm eager for us to move forward and advance this bill to the full Senate. Thank you.